How are you, Pamela?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having us.
All right, I have a question right off the bat.
What's up?
Are you working at a guitar shop, or is all that shit yours?
Yeah, well, both. It's my guitar shop in my house. So most of these things I technically own, and they're broken. I'm gonna fix them eventually. But yeah,
Hey,
A little,
that's
a
bad.
little, a little advertisement for Pamela
yeah,
Leisure Luthery here.
yep.
Well, do you have a website?
Yeah, I do. It's not
All right.
very. I'll put my Instagram or something.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right, first of all, we're going to start right from there. So, we're going to go right from jump. So, Pamela, tell me about what it is you're doing and where you are right now.
I am in my guitar shop, Pamela Leisure Luthery. I fix guitars and violins from a little shop in South Minneapolis.
South Minneapolis.
Mhm.
Okay, so Twin Cities.
Yes, Twin Cities, Minnesota.
So there's another city I know out that way that a couple of my coworkers from California worked at. What's the next biggest city besides the Twin Cities?
St. Paul? Oh,
St. Paul, Minnesota. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where I live.
yeah.
yes, that's where they moved to. What
And
was the
really,
director
they're
there?
like, I only live 3 miles or whatever from Pamela. It's like
Yeah.
just across the river. They're basically the same city, but
I've when they went there, they were showing me like I have to change my glasses because they're all cockeyed. But I'm not cutting this out because I have no shame. That's what, should I?
No, you should. No shame.
I'm sure
No.
I'll do
No.
something embarrassing. And I
No.
probably have a booger hanging out of my nose or something right
Do you
now.
want me to
Oh my
look,
God!
Corinne? You want me to look?
Right before you guys got on, I sneezed and snotted all over my pants.
Been there.
So I apologize for not doing that, so you didn't have to see it.
Can we look at it? No, I'm just kidding.
Like,
Just kidding. I don't actually want. I don't want to see it.
No, we don't.
All right, so they showed me my coworkers that they were getting married and to each other, and they were moving there, and they were showing me all these pictures of how great the city is, and might I say like from the shots I saw, it's fucking beautiful.
That's kind of amazing coming from folks in California, because usually they're like mortified by the cold weather. It's very cold.
Well,
It's below 0 right now, you know?
Yeah, it's very cool.
Well, I live in Pennsylvania, and I don't know. The one thing people complain about is our sports teams and the weather, but we won't leave.
Yeah, that's how it is.
So I can relate.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys had Jesse Ventura, so what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
All right, so it's a beautiful city. Tell me what it is about those Twin Cities, St. Paul and Minneapolis, that make your interest in surf music doable.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, there's not surfing in Minnesota. We're very far,
It's-
as
good point.
far as we could be away from oceans, I suppose. But there's weirdly a little surf scene in Minnesota.
There is. People do surf on the North Shore. Like,
Yeah. Okay.
it's not the same, but there are people that surf in the Great Lakes, so Lake Superior is north of us and
Yeah.
resembles an ocean.
Yeah,
So I know
okay.
certain times,
Okay.
but yeah, there
Yeah.
is not a surf scene by any means, and not a huge surf music scene. So we've kind of, we're by no means like leading it, but there's a few of us that congregate and try to connect with the surf fans that come through town.
Mhm.
And I book music, so we do a lot of that communicating with, other regions, other bands.
Awesome. So when you play out, when you go on tour, where likely are people to catch you?
East Coast, West Coast, usually, or we kind of
Yeah.
travel regionally a lot. Chicago, Milwaukee, Indianapolis, Detroit.
So I know you probably know the Breakers and Outronaut and those guys.
I know those names, but not personally.
Yeah.
Reach out to Jim Abrahams.
Okay.
He's from the Breakers. He can get you shows there. And I know it's like Minnesota, Michigan, and I think Illinois. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So it's like you gotta go through a state to get there. Is that? I got my
Yeah. Are we
There's
talking about?
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wisconsin. Yeah.
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin's more like this, and like Minnesota's more like this. Don't you know? You know.
Yeah.
We're a little more
like,
polite and uptight. Wisconsin's a little more.
Yeah. I did not. When I first saw Fargo, I had no idea what I was watching. I thought it was a comedy because being from the East Coast, we're like super gruff and everything. And so I thought I was watching a comedy, and I just realized that's just norm for them. You know what I mean?
Kind of, yeah. I mean,
And
obviously, it's like an exaggerated satire, but
yeah, of course.
And there are people that do talk like that, but yeah,
of course.
maybe like.
All right, so let's talk about this, if you don't mind. Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah, Swamp Rock City.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of those
All right.
people.
So fucking badass, and I didn't know who I was reaching out to because Black Widows. First of all, I was fascinated with the name Black Widows because of the I'm not afraid of spiders. I appreciate their importance in the world, and I don't know how deep that goes with you. But Black Widows were always like, you know. People so scared of it don't realize that praying mantises do the same thing pretty much. And everybody thinks they're so beautiful. But I'll
For the record, it was more about serial killers than spiders when we came up with the name.
All right, awesome. Corinne, tell me about that.
We were trying to we were looking up like female serial killers and trying to come up with actually just like a name of a woman historically that has murdered men. And we found Nanny Joss, which we almost first settled on. We did a little side project with that name, who is the giggling grandma out of
Oklahoma.
Kentucky or Oklahoma.
No, Oklahoma.
Yeah, you're brute.
Right, people.
So she killed men for insurance money. I mean,
Nice.
A lot of these women, once we kind of did the research, were coming from abusive relationships, and you know, we're on the feminist side of things.
Was it justified?
Probably.
Well, okay, so there's the movie Monster, right? And I watched it because I was fascinated by what Charlize would go through to bring real life, you know, to like, you know, take all that Hollywood away and get the character. And I was like, you know, it's kind of hard. You don't feel sorry for it, but then at this, you know, possibly justified. You know what I mean? And those revenge flicks often ring true for a lot of people. You know, bands like the Interrupters. Amy Interrupter talks about, you know, this song "She Got Arrested." You know, it's about an abusive.
Most of our songs are revenge songs.
Yeah. Like it's about an abusive relationship. And, you know, finally she just said no more. And she took the guy out. And not her, but the story is about what happens to somebody that fights back and then they wind up in jail. And it's not right. And I get it.
Yeah. Statistics show that, you know, it's mostly men that murder.
Well, yeah.
Unjustifiably.
Yeah.
And when women do, it's often out of self-defense or escape, you know.
Yeah.
Not always. There's some crazy ladies out there that enjoy it.
Yeah.
But
what I can appreciate more now than when I was young is I have 2 daughters, and that matters. Like everything about it matters. Like I see the world through their eyes now.
Yep.
And my wife, she was an athlete. You know, She was a lacrosse goalie. She was a goalie coach.
Awesome.
She was for Temple University, and now she's a coach for this Catholic school, Bonner, in right outside of Philadelphia. And somebody's got to take care of the girls, you know. I've seen how like these poor girls, they go to and they play with the other girls in like these huge tournaments, and then there's these dirtbag fathers that are checking them out. And you know, I've had to approach quite a few of them and get in their face, and I'm like, hey, what's going on?
That's what we need men to do, and women need
seriously.
to do it too. Women need to protect each other as well. You know?
But it's also it's men's obligation to police other men sometimes.
Yeah. Well, that's my daughter, you know. So first of all, there's the level of, you know, I would have talked to him anyway, but that's my daughter, you know, like, and my wife, when I met her, I was working with her, and this dude used to come up and like massage her back of her neck at work while she was working, and I'd be like, fucking dude, I'm like, get the fuck out of the office, go.
Well, and often women feel like they can't defend themselves in those situations, not because they're not strong, but because it affects their income, their jobs. They, you know, if they speak up, they miss out on opportunities, and they get isolated, you know. So
and from what I noticed, and I'm not by any means intelligent or smart, what I know from experience. What's that?
I said, don't say that about yourself.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what you think by the end.
Okay.
What I have noticed is when women speak up for women, they're all wrong. When a man speaks up for a woman, that's a different story.
Well, you need to come to one of our shows then.
Yeah, well, I grew up in the hardcore punk rock scene, and I'm sure you guys know what that's like. And if there wasn't a few guys there helping them out, bad things can happen.
Yeah.
And I'm by no means patting myself on the back. I just know I had a mother and I have daughters.
Yeah. It does affect, like, I think who you grow up with, who you're surrounded by, how you're taught, you know, and like people need to like unlearn and teach each other if they haven't had those skills. Like, I don't blame everybody for not knowing how to be a good bystander. It's not something we're conditioned or taught to do. So we got to speak up with each other and have these conversations. It's really good, you know?
Yeah. Especially because now people walk around with AirPods in, and they're doing their own thing. They're looking at their phone. No. See, you need them. When they're out in public, you know, they're just on the phone. They got the AirPods in. Yeah. And they don't care what's going on around them.
People are oblivious a lot of the time.
And they choose to be. Let's just face it. A lot of people, especially in the Midwest, people are very passive here. They don't like to rock the boat. I lived in Brooklyn for a while, and I love the East Coast because I feel like people do advocate a little bit more than the Midwest for each other.
The culture here is different, that you have certain family aspect that kind of like large families that look out for each other. And I think that's why it is the way it is here. But enough of the serious crap.
Yeah. Let's get fun.
Tell me about the music. Tell me about the band. Tell me how it started. Tell me everything, and tell me why I saw your picture next to the surfer jets.
Emily, you want to talk about our history?
Yeah, I'd love to. Corinne and I used to work together. Actually, we kind of still work together. We've worked together a lot of different times and places, but we met while working at a restaurant, and we're like, what kind of music do you like, bro? And we're like, I don't know. We just listened to a lot of music. We had a lot in common. We were both kind of in the market to start a new band. Corinne had just moved back here from New York. I was just in a band with some dudes that, you know, whatever. I wanted to do something different. So we started a band together that was very intentionally all female. Our drummer Missy joined up with us. And we decided that we were gonna like do the surf thing because we were listening to a lot of that shit and it felt right. And that was a while ago.
How long? How long ago?
10 fucking years.
I can't even believe. Can we
I know,
swear?
All right,
Oh,
so
10 flipping years.
when you went out 10 years ago and played your first show, what did people think?
They were like, well, the first show that we played was in this like giant house Corinne was living in, and we threw this weird big party that was very fun and very successful. I mean, we got a lot of people there, and I think people were like, what are they doing?
I think they're still like, what are they doing?
Yeah,
I
think people are still like,
idea.
when does the music start?
We had somebody say that to us at a show once.
We're like,
while we were playing.
Our set.
No, I think we have a big community between the two of us, and we've been in other bands, and, you know, we're not like newbies to music. So I think even then we were able to rally our friends and people. And I think that, you know, I think 50% of any of our success has come from community and just like knowing how to relate to people and connect. And that's really important in the punk scene in general, right? Like sticking with each other and making sure, and that's another, not to get serious again, but looking out for people, making sure people are safe at our shows, feel good. I think we retain like fans and friends because they know that we'll
care,
you know, not be assholes to them or stuff up or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the vibe in the first place, don't you think, Pamela? Like,
oh yeah,
it was our buddies. It was really fun.
Yeah, and I think we've always, I think we've never taken ourselves like super seriously and felt like we were separate from, you know, like the other, you know, like the other people at the show, you know, like we're always just like very interactive. And
I'm grateful anybody wants to listen to us play. I'm like surprised that
like, are
20
you sure?
people at our show. Yeah, are you sure you bought tickets to the show?
Well, I was talking to my father-in-law who lives with us now, and he's like, I'm surprised because he's 74 and he knows, you know, the old school music, you know, from his time. And I said, Ronnie, like, you know, that's 1% of the musicians out there. I said, the majority of musicians you'll never hear, and they're probably way better than the ones that you are hearing about. And he's like, yeah, you know, I saw this group the other day, and I never knew they existed. And he was surprised that somebody so good wasn't getting recognition. And just like you said in the community, your link for Bandcamp will be in our description, and they can go and purchase it directly from our video. And that's what community is. You're welcome, but that's what community is. Bandcamp is a huge community for listeners and bands to connect directly, and that's, you know, where the punk rock ethos comes from. And if you're not into punk rock, at least you can respect that. Like, fuck it, we're gonna do it ourselves, right?
It's the ethics, the ethos and the tenets that are more important than, you know, the music itself. I mean, the music is important as well, but like, that's, to me, that's what punk is. Yeah, seriously.
So tell me about the sound. I love the new EP. I'm gonna be doing a review.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Be critical. Like, tell us what we need to do better. I want to hear it.
Yeah.
I've been taking notes here. And after this meeting, you guys are gonna get fucking nailed. You're gonna get nailed.
Yeah.
Okay.
This sucks.
All right. So tell me about the sound.
Like Pamela said, we have been inspired, I think, a lot by instrumental music. Both of us have grown up playing violin and orchestra, so I think we always kind of loved instruments as voices. I think we've talked about that enough that I can speak for you on that too. Yes. And so we do have songs that we sing on. So we have these kind of two channels that we work in, which also helps us get shows in different lineups and different kind of genres, which is fun. So I think this particular EP came out of kind of both of those sounds, like the kind of heavier punk stuff and the instrumental stuff, you know. And I think as we've continued to write and grow, we just kind of have naturally, I think, gravitated toward heavier stuff, kind of getting back into the punk stuff. So I love for surf guitar and the reverb and all that, but also like just badass bass parts and pedals.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Even
Cranking the amps
Surfer
up.
Joe even Surfer Joe sings at least one or two songs at his shows.
Yeah. And even just in terms of guitar playing and bass playing, you know, kind of getting away from the whammy bar sometimes and the reverb a little bit has been a challenge for me because I am addicted to it, but it's good to like experiment and I think grow out of that sometimes. So we're working on a new album coming up that'll be more punk, more vocal heavy. So that'll sound even a little bit different. Yeah.
Awesome. Send me a link to that when you get it ready. Because I don't know, get the Bandcamp notifications.
Yeah, we will.
So
it'll be later this summer, but yeah.
Yeah. I'll get on your email list, but I want to make sure that I take a listen because, to be honest with you, I really liked this, and people will be able to hear it in the background of this interview. Cool. Yeah. It's no trouble because you're giving me a gift by making music.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that the way the industry is, it doesn't make it feasible for people to do that as a full-time job. And if I die on the hill, I'm going to try to make that happen. That people can do that again because in Canada they get grants to perform the arts. And I'm
we
not saying
have a grassroots, not to cut you off, but we have a grassroots organization here that's trying to work on that right now, Tiki. And they're kind of advocating for artists pay for some of the city funding to go to just pay artists flat rates for shows and actually make a decent wage, you know. If that happens, but
I really enjoyed the EP, and I definitely hear the punk in it, and I love punk. You know, my favorite band.
Heck yeah.
Ever, and I've interviewed all three singers.
Oh, sweet.
Of all three.
All three singers of all. But it's got the punk aspect, but you still kind of have that like reverb, twangy, traditional part of it, and you know, just tell me how important. I mean, that 60s vibe holds a certain importance in people's lives. What does that do for you?
Pamela, what do you think?
Well, I don't know. I was going to say you should talk about it since you're like the guitar guy, Corinne.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say that I think you and I, when we write, we kind of, I think we analyzed for a long time, like, what are we? Are we having an identity crisis? Because we, like, do this punk thing and we do this surf thing and, like, you know, we get booked on surf lineups, but we're, like, a little edgier than some of the surf bands we play with. So, yeah, we were always kind of concerned, like, is this going to limit us from getting shows and kind of growing into bigger pants, so to speak? I don't know. I said that for you, Pamela, because I thought it would like gross you out.
I know, and then I just imagined us wearing a pair of pants together.
Of course. So I think like we just kind of finally embrace that those are both just parts of our music and not to like overthink stuff and just write stuff how we like to. And I think naturally we've just gravitated to kind of finding that balance, and it's just kind of built into our the way that we write. Like we don't even really talk about it or think about it anymore. It's just like we kind of know, okay, we have these general themes and threads that happen in our music, but around that things can kind of evolve and grow, if that makes sense. And I think that is like reverb guitar, kind of busy, cool bass lines, maybe minor chords and spookiness and kind of the horror surf aspect always kind of, I think, ties those worlds together a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like our more like singy punk stuff is always going to have a surf element, and our like more instrumental surf stuff is always going to have a punk element. You know, like it kind of goes like that. And we like write storylines for all of our songs, even the instrumentals. Even if nobody else knows what's going on, we do, and it helps.
Yeah, there's a story in Swamp Rock City.
Do you know what would be really cool? I saw you have your own website that has like a bunch of links and stuff on it, like your social.
It's just a link tree. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, well, you have no idea how useful those are, because back in the day, to have something like that cost tons of money,
Yeah.
which I'm sure isn't cheap to begin with, but Linktree is awesome, and I do understand its importance. But what I wanted to say was, the connection you make with people, and like you said, with the community. How do you connect with each other being in two different cities, and you want to record ideas, but you don't want to an album, you want to virtually? How virtually do you do it, like technically wise?
We do a little bit of both. We're only a few miles from each other.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, it takes me like 15 minutes to get to
We
Clint's
practice
house.
at my house, so
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
But we do, like, in cold winter months sometimes, and like during the pandemic lockdown, we did live together actually as roommates for part of that time, so we did some really stupid, weird live streams.
Yeah.
But then we didn't for a period, and we did, start to create kind of a way of working, so like we might get together and write a bunch of ideas together on bass and guitar, and then go back, and Pamela will record bass lines, send them to me, and I'll record a bunch of guitar tracks, and then we'll listen back and record vocals and just kind of keep ping-ponging back and forth until we have, songs, arrangements, and then I usually like arrange and kind of edit to make stuff sound. Sometimes we even put it out, our lo-fi recording. We do have
all that
stuff
work
out there
and
that I
like,
just
never mind.
Yeah, we're like, I don't like that song anymore.
Also, if you work on something too long and too hard, you might feel like you've overdone it, and you kind of lose the. Like
I would say we're pretty good at like cutting ourselves off. Like even when we record, we went like Swamp Rock City. We recorded in 2 days.
Yeah.
And so like it's just we go in there and we bang it out. And I think some people that we work with are like, don't you want to like crack? Like we wrote some of that stuff the week of.
Yeah.
No. That's awesome.
We work well under pressure. Like
we
just
certainly do.
Just do the thing leading up, and don't overthink it. I think that's a better and more fun way to work, because then you don't take it so seriously.
Exactly. The one thing I wanted to say is I was very interested, Pamela, in what you said about that you have a story for each song, even though we don't know what it is by looking at it. I think what would be interesting on your Bandcamp site, where you can put all that information about the band, maybe for each tune. Kind of.
Yeah, we've talked about that for sure.
What are your thoughts? Do you think they may be a little bit too graphic to share?
No. I mean, we thought about doing like
Sorry, my dog.
An accompanying like zine to go with this EP, like with the whole storyline, and we had this whole like vision, but life is hard. We didn't quite get there yet.
We're busy people, so we kind of
But that's like the deluxe edition, maybe.
Yeah, it's a time thing.
Yeah, it's a time thing.
Yeah, you know who does that? Underwater Bosses. They're from I believe Syracuse, New York, and they do it. They did like a comic book, and I was like, what a brilliant idea.
We thought about doing like a map of like all the songs, because there's different locations for each song around the swamp.
Maybe I'll do that while we're on tour. When I'm in the car riding along, I'll just draw it out real quick.
Yeah, my advice to you would be to document a lot of that stuff, because a lot of it is documented. You guys have a great story.
We have it documented up in here.
In the vault.
And eventually we'll do something with it. We've actually talked about, because we have a bunch of we used to do variety shows and all this stuff, and we have a lot of posters, and we're weird, and so we want to do like a digital museum of all of our
awesome.
weird stuff. Yeah, and like archive like weird dolls with no heads that
We
used
have
to be
such
part of our
weird-
entourage. And,
Yeah. And it's all like in our basements.
Yeah,
Like-
we have it. It's all
Yeah.
there.
Oh,
We
that's
just need to
awesome.
do something cool with it.
Yeah.
So thank you for the push.
Yeah.
Be creative. Creative in any way.
Yeah.
So, I want to thank you so much, Pamela and Corinne, for coming on.
We are
And,
going on tour too. We didn't talk about that. So we're headed out for a month with the Surfin.
That's why I saw that picture.
Yeah. So we're leaving in less than 2 weeks, and we're hitting the east. We're going to Detroit, and then we meet up with them in Rochester, New York. We go all the way down the coast and down to Florida, and then over to New Orleans and back up. So it'll be fun.
Excellent.
So get tickets
Yeah.
at blackwidowsempire.com or follow us at Black Widows Rock. Probably be in the comments too to find out all the dates and get tickets for that. All
Yeah, I'll
women
put it-
traveling the country together playing surf music. It's going to be super cool.
Excellent. That's going to be a hell of a show. I really enjoy the Surfragettes.
Yeah, they're great.
They're-
They're
when you-
wonderful
when you
people
meet-
too.
When you meet them, say, hey, there's this guy, Ryan Haggerty, that's been trying to get you to interview for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Maybe just return his email.
Also, I might know a member of Who's Purdue if you feel like interviewing him. Because he's Greg Norton, bass player, and he's in a new band called Ultra Bomb, which is really cool, and they're kind of out in the road with some other amazing punk players. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
yeah.